Hello, Jordan here from Artisan Electrics. Welcome to my office. We're here today because I'm filming a video for you that hopefully will be of interest and benefit to those of you who own or run your own business. I'm going to talk to you about Tradify today, which is the job management platform that we use to keep our business running smoothly. It's been a massive help to our business, helping us to get organized, keep track of things, and just make it quicker and easier to produce quotes, invoices, and everything else. We're going to do a kind of a deep dive today. I've never really done this before, and actually show you inside Tradify how it all works, how to set it up, some of the features that hopefully will make you see whether it's going to benefit you as a business or not. And then there's a link in the description of this video where you can get 50% off Tradify for your first 3 months. So hopefully that'll benefit you guys. Let's jump into the video. This is the dashboard of Tradify, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just walk you through setting up a new account on Tradify right from scratch. That way I figured it will help you to see all the features, how easy it is to set up, and how easy it is to get rolling with your business. So we've created this as a demo account. Obviously this isn't the account that we use on a day-to-day basis because there's loads of personal data of customers that we can't show. So we've created our account. It's super simple. Just go to tradifyhq.com, sign up for the 14-day free trial, you create an account, and that's it. It's really easy. They text message you a verification code and you're up and running. And as I say, if you use the code Artisan, you will get 50% off for your first 3 months as well of the whole of Tradify. Connect to your accounting app. So the first and one of the most amazing features of this is that it will synchronize with your accounting app. So whether you use Xero or QuickBooks or Sage 1, which is what we use, what happens is when you create documents in Tradify, like if you create an invoice in Tradify, you can send it to your accounting package so that it will have everything there, and you don't need to do double work creating separate invoices within your accounting software. So that's a really cool feature, first of all. And to do that, you can just click this button, connect to your accounting app. You can choose Xero, Sage, or QuickBooks here, and then you just have to put your login details and sync that over. So like for Sage, you just click login to Sage, and it will take me over to Sage, and then I'll have to put in my username and password for Sage, which obviously I'm not going to do now, but that just gives you the idea. If we go back to the dashboard, add your VAT number. So, right, brilliant. Okay, so I've just clicked connect to Sage. It's actually connected me to Sage already, and it's put my VAT number in here. It's put my company name. It's selected pound sterling already and the time zone, so that's great. All we have to do is put in the delivery address, so that's good. Next step, set up a billing rate. So this is important, right? You can set up your billing rates of how much you charge per hour, and you can set up how much that labor actually costs your business to be able to provide that service. And Tradify will then allow you to keep track of your profit margins so that on a job by job basis, you can actually see how much profit you're making on each job on both the labor and materials. So you get a total gross profit figure for each and every job, which is so important as a business because you need to know whether you're profitable or not. And if you're not, then you can put your prices up accordingly. So here we've got new billing rate. We've got our standard hourly cost. So standard labor, and then you put your estimated hourly cost. So that is, if we look at the information, it's what rate this costs the company per hour, including tax. So that is, you've got to figure that out. You've got to work out how much does it cost me to provide 1 hour of service to my customers. And that is quite a challenge because you've got to kind of take into account all your overheads, divide all of your business costs basically by the number of hours that you work, and then that will give you your hourly cost per person. So if I put this down as, say, £50 per hour, that's how much it costs our business to provide an hour of service with all the overheads and labour and wages and bills and tax and all that stuff included. You've got your VAT rate there, then you can choose the account that you want to put it into. So these accounts all come in from my Sage now, so I can see that labour, I will usually charge it to general electrical work, I think. So it puts it into a specific ledger account. Billing, rounding. So you can choose if you want to round up your work. So say the guys do like 45 minutes, you can choose that you round it up to an hour, or if they do like only 10 minutes on a job, well, you might have a minimum charge of 1 hour, so you might choose to round everything up to 60 minutes anyway. Or you might choose to charge in half-hourly increments, so you might say, well, if they're there for 15 minutes, we still charge for half an hour, or if they're there for an hour and a half, we charge for an hour and a half rather than for 1 hour or 2 hours. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, it helps you as a business owner to think about all these policies and things that you might not have thought about before, and it can help you to actually become more profitable as well. Billing minimum, so this is what I was talking about with that as well. You've got a minimum charge. So we have a minimum charge of 1 hour, and then we round up to an hour after that. So if Corey was on a job and he was there for an hour and 10 minutes, we would round that up to 2 hours. Because the thing is, you've got to charge for traveling time, you've got to cover all those things as well. And then you can choose whether these amounts include tax or not, whether you want to put the price in later, etc. And then you put the actual charge of how much you charge per hour. So we charge £80 per hour plus VAT. So we can save that. And then that gives us our cost and our standard. So every hour that we book, then we can see that, you know, we make a gross profit of £30 per hour, for example, on our labour. That's just a rough figure, but that gives you an idea, and you've got to obviously work it out for your own business. So we go back to our dashboard, create a customer, create a job, add a staff member. So let's just create a job first of all. And by the way, the great thing about Tradify as well is that they're really good with customer service. So you can book a call with them and they can talk you through all this as well if you're not sure about it after this video. And they will, you know, do a video call with you. They'll show you all the features and they'll answer your questions. So they're really good like that. And they've got little videos as well, instructional videos of how to do these kind of things. So to create a job, this is it, the job screen. I want to create a new job. First of all, you've got to add your customer in. I have no customers at the moment, so I'll click add new customer and I'll call him Bob Geldof. Good old Bob, he's one of our regular customers. Contact name is the same as customer name, that's fine. If you had, you know, working for a big company, you might choose to have a separate contact name from customer name, or it might be the customer name is the business and the contact name is the business owner or something. But most of the time, if it's domestic work, contact name, customer name are the same. And then find address. So we can put 10 Downing Street, London, there we go. And that pops up and that will automatically work out the postcode for you and everything and pops that in. Then we can do bob@geldof.com for his email address. I hope that's not the actual one because he'll be getting flooded with emails from our subscribers soon. And then we can just put 07777 for his phone number. You can add obviously a mobile and landline, and then if you want to, you can add financial information about this particular customer. So for example, you can track the invoices, so you can send them a link with tracking so that you can see if they've clicked on the invoice, if they've actually opened it. Same with quotes, same with job service reports if you choose to send those. And then you've got a few custom fields that you can add as well. So if you want to add some custom information about them, you can. So we click save. And that is our customer added. Now for this particular job, it's automatically put the job address in now because we've put the customer in there. We can choose a site address. Now this is important if your site is different to your customer address. For example, if you're working for a landlord and they have several rental properties, the landlord will have their billing address, but the site address will be different. So you can add in a new site and put the address in accordingly. But for most customers, the site address is the same as the customer address, so you can leave that blank. You can choose to put a reference if you want. You can choose a pricing level, so you might have different customers who have different pricing levels, and you can just create new pricing levels. You can add a markup, so you know if certain customers you charge a bit more than others, you can do that. So it's very, very flexible, this system. And then you can add like categories like the priority. So if this is a high priority customer, you can put that in. You can put, if this job is a call out or an installation or service, you can choose that as well. And then the job description. So I would say, for example, called out to check why the sockets were tripping. fault finding, 2 hours, something like that. And then you can create a task within that job. So you can put a new task, fault finding, description, trace and repair fault. You can choose your staff. So in this case, I've only got myself down. Due date. So obviously if this is a job that you're doing in future, you can put it in like that. Estimated cost, I'll just leave that blank for the moment. You get the idea. So you've got your job details in there. And then if you've got subcontractors, you can put their email address in and you can assign it to subcontractor as well, which is quite cool. Save and continue. And then if I want to, I can create a quote for this job. So I can create a new quote, and then I'll just see it's inputted the details of the job already. I can just add a line item for time, and I can say, you know, we'll allow 2 hours for this job. So I can just put 2 hours and then click OK, and that will automatically create a quote for the total amount for 2 hours of labor. The great thing about this as well is that if you do price list item, you can import price lists, it's done it. Okay, so I get sent every month by CEF. I get sent their price catalog as like an Excel document type thing anyway, that you can import into Tradify. So if you've got a regular supplier that you use, you can get them to send their up-to-date price list every month, import it into Tradify, and you've got all the stuff there. So if I want a consumer unit like this, I can click and it will automatically import the price for that consumer unit. I've not set up my pricing yet for my materials, so I'll show you that next, but that's a great way to just add in your materials for the job super easily and super quickly. So that's a sort of a brief overview of how to do quotes. Now, if you go into settings and you do, where are we? Pricing levels. So standard, it would be for the materials. So I do a 20% markup on all my materials to cover the time and energy that it takes to go and get them and deal with the wholesalers and all that stuff. So I put a 20% markup as standard in there. Now if I go back to that quote, but basically this is your cost price, how much it costs you to buy from the wholesaler, and then you can put your sell price in there, which is different, and then it tells you what your gross profit is as well on that particular item. So it's very handy for tracking your profits. And then if you click enable reminders on this quote, it will actually email the customer 7 days after you've sent it to send them a reminder, 14 days after you've sent it, send them another reminder, and 3 days before it expires, it sends them another reminder there. So it gives them a little nudge for you, and it just saves you hassle and time, you know. If I do a preview of the quote, I can see here exactly what comes up on the quote. So it's got the various line items. You can see 2 hours labor, the price, total amount, the Hager consumer unit, the quantity, total amount. Now, if I want to, I can reduce that so that it doesn't show a breakdown. So for us, we prefer to not show a breakdown of exactly how much it costs per hour and how much we're charging for individual items of materials. We just price for the whole job. So we can do that in Tradify in the settings for the quotes. If we go to settings and quotes, we can do document themes. Here we go. We can check on standard themes, quotes. We can just get rid of show line items, and then that will change it so that now we don't actually see the line items. We just see the total. So that's a great thing that you can do. You can add as much detail as you want or as little detail depending on how your company is set up. Then if you want to print, you can, and download it. You can email it. So this has now created an email. I can set up a standard template email as well. Obviously it's not done it yet, but I can set up exactly what it says in this email as standard. So if you have a nice fancy email that you send to your customer saying, "Dear future customer, thank you for your inquiry. We're proud to have produced this amazing quote for you. It is attached to this email." Whatever you want to say is your little sales pitch in your email with your quotes. then you can do that, and it just automatically fills that out every time you send a quote. And then all you do is click send, and that's it, you know. It sends it off to the customer, and then it puts it in. If I do, so you click approve first of all. If you're happy with the quote, then you approve it, then you email it, and I'll just do that, and then that's sent now. So if I go back to quotes now, it's in awaiting acceptance. So I can see that I've approved it, but it's not been accepted yet. As soon as Bob actually accepts the quote, it'll appear in accepted, and I'll get an email notification to say Bob Geldof has accepted your quote, and then I can contact him to book the job in. I can also manually do that. So if I click accept now, we'll pretend that Bob has been very impressed with our quote and he's decided to accept it. Now the quote has moved to accepted section, so I can see I've got this job that's accepted. Now I need to actually book the job in to the schedule, and potentially I need to send an invoice for the deposit. So I can do that. If I click on that job again, copy to invoice, I can choose to actually do an invoice for a percentage of that quote. So if I do like we do normally, we do a 50% deposit up front for any jobs over £1,000. I can create an invoice for 50%, create draft invoice, and there we go. It's made an invoice. I can just approve it, and then I can email that over to Bob. You can see the preview, see what the invoice looks like. So that's the invoice. I've accidentally sent it to Sage, so I'm going to have to delete that in Sage, but that's fine. You can see how it looks really nice and smart, and you can put your company logo and all this at the top as well. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. All the stuff is there ready to go, and you can synchronize this with Stripe as well, so that you can take Stripe payments via card directly through Tradify as well. And then if you click email invoice, it will just email the invoice over to the customer. They'll have a button in there where they can click pay, and they can just pay it using their credit card online. Or you can put your bank details on there and they can do a transfer or whatever. So that's another brilliant thing. So then we've got that. The quote's been accepted. Now what we want to do is book it in. So we click on the job. All the job details are there. Click schedule. And it's not scheduled yet. So we can click open schedule. And then we can assign it to one of our guys. In this case, me. I'll assign it to myself for tomorrow. Choose how long you're going to assign it for. So in this case, it'll be 2 hours. Choose your staff member, which is me. Click save, and it puts it into the calendar there. And that will automatically now appear on my mobile phone with the address, so that in the morning when I start out for work, I can see exactly where my first job of the day is. I can click on directions, and it will automatically put it into Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever, and then I can get the directions to the job. So it's super easy, and this is a system that can work if you're just a one-man band or if you've got 100 staff or more on site. It's scalable, which is really great. So once you get the systems in place, it's easy to just grow it, add new users, and just scale it up, and you can have admin people then who do the invoices and quotes and things for you. And it enables you to really grow your business without having to then implement loads of systems afterwards. So for us now, we've got 7 employees and we've got 3 people in the office. So they all know how to use Tradify. They've been through the training and they're able to do the scheduling. They're able to create quotes and invoices in Tradify. And it just means that I don't spend my whole life just doing quotes and sorting out paperwork and stuff. So that's the job booked in for tomorrow. So now if I go to the job, then what I can do is it's now down as scheduled. When I get to the job, it can be in progress, and on my mobile phone I literally just click start time, and it will start the clock basically on the job. I can add time in manually as well using this timesheet entry section. But the idea behind that is you can track the number of hours that your employees are on the jobs for, and then you can bill accordingly if you charge on an hourly rate basis rather than on a job basis. So that's really handy too. And then back in the scheduler, you can see the job is in progress. If I then have completed the job, I can set it as to invoice. And then that tells the people in the office that it needs to be invoiced. So in the job list, they can see that this one is to invoice, so then they can go in there and create an invoice for the job, which in this case we've already sent one, but we can create another new invoice, percentage of quote again. We can select the quote that we sent and we can do the final 50%, or in this case we can just do remaining amount, and there it does it like that, and it just bills them for the remaining amount. Create draft invoice and then approve and send to Sage again, and it's exactly the same. And here's the button where you can accept credit card payments on this invoice, so you can do that and then connect with Stripe. You can also set payment reminders on the invoice, so if you want to do that, you can do it so that it sends a reminder 8 days after the invoice is sent, 3 days before the due date, on the due date, 3 days after the due date, and so on. Obviously you need to set your terms anyway for your customers, so we set our terms as just like due on receipt of the invoice, but some people have 30 days payment terms, some people have 14 days, 7 days, whatever you might want to do. So that's kind of a brief overview of how to create quotes, book jobs, turn them into invoices, how to schedule them. Can you see how beneficial this software is for a business owner to be able to just manage everything through the one platform? It's really, really handy. And there are other things you can do as well. So in the map, for example, I can see now that this is the job that's been booked in. I can see it on the map as a little purple hammer, so that's a job to invoice. But once I've booked hundreds of jobs, I can see pins all over the place of where all the jobs have been. And I can also click staff and I can see where my staff are at any one time. So if they've got Tradify app open on their phone, you can see where they are. You can see if they're at a job or if they're en route. So it's really, really handy. You can also manage your inquiries in here. So in order to start using inquiries, you can sync this with your inquiry form on your website, for example. And every time someone fills that out, it will send their details straight into Tradify, and then you can deal with the inquiries. So if I click it and do a demo inquiry, for example, for Bob Geldof, we can see how it works. It's amazing that Bob Geldof is now the Prime Minister. Who'd have thought it? So we can see need a fault repairing on my lights. We can save that. If we do save and exit, then we can see this inquiry has come in, you see, 1 minute ago. So we're really hot on customer service, so we don't leave it more than 5 minutes before we deal with an inquiry. So the team comes in and they're like, oh, we've got a new inquiry, let's deal with that right now. So they go to inquiry actions, and what they'll do is probably they'll phone the customer, they'll give him a price over the phone, or they'll say, we'll send you a quote, and then they copy this to a quote, and it automatically copies Bob's details straight into the quote, fill out a few extra bits, put in the price, ready to go. Or if the customer wants to go ahead, say they give him a price over the phone and he just wants to go ahead, they can copy it straight to a job and book that job into the schedule. They can copy it to an invoice, they can schedule an appointment, they can mark it as rejected or mark it as action. So there are quite a few options there. And you can create your own options there as well if you want to. So in settings, again, all of this is very flexible. Under inquiries, if you do start using inquiries, you can see how that's all set up. You can have it so that you've got different actions and stuff as well in your inquiries section. Company details, this is what I wanted to show you. So if you do document themes, standard, I think it's in here. You can put your logo, so you can put your company address like that, and then you can put your logo in, and then if you do that, it will put your logo onto the invoices and quotes, etc. So you just choose a file, you put that in there, and it puts it on all your documentation, which is really, really handy as well. And you can choose whether it goes on the right or on the left or in the center of your documents. And then your invoices, you can put your terms and payment information in there. Those will always appear as standard in your invoices. Same with your quotes. You can put terms in for the quotes, which is really important. Bills and purchases. So you can do all your purchase orders here as well. So once you've created a quote with a materials list, you can convert that materials list into a purchase order, send it to CEF, for example, and then they will do the order for you and get your materials booked out. And then you can also do a job service report, so that during, once the job's complete, you've got an example here of exactly what happened on the job, who did it and how long it took, and what materials were involved. So if you've got some big customers and they want those kind of reports, you can provide them. And in this case, you can even put photos you can see and put notes about the photos in the job report. So yeah, pretty impressive bit of software this. You've got the tax section, so you can put whether you're VAT registered or not, and obviously some invoices will be exempt from VAT for whatever reason. You can add staff members, so I can put a new staff member and I can show which sections of Tradify they will have access to. All I do is put their name and email address and it will send them an email. They put in their password and then they've got an account and they can have access so that they can get the jobs up on their phone and stuff like that. So that's really cool. What else is there? So timesheets, then you can see the timesheets for each of your staff members. So you can see how many hours they've worked each week, for example, which is useful to know. Kits, this is a cool feature. So you can create kits of materials. So we use it for like electric vehicle charging installations. We can create a kit for the standard materials that we use to install a hypervolt charge point, for example. We will put the hypervolt in there, we'll put a standard length of EV Ultra cable, some compression glands, a circuit breaker, some clips, and we make that into a kit. And then all we have to do when we create a quote for a hypervolt is add that kit, add the number of hours labor we think it's going to take, and we can alter things in the kit slightly, like if it's 20 meters of cable, we can change that amount. If it's 50 clips instead of 40, then we can change that. And it just makes it super easy to actually produce a quote that is accurate, but also it's very quick and easy to produce. Once you get regular types of jobs that you keep getting in, like EICRs or consumer unit changes, you can create a quote template and you can name that the particular type of job that you want. So for example, consumer unit change, we can put that in, and then I can put in the Hager consumer unit that we usually use, maybe a 12-way or an 18-way, the breakers, the blanks, the tails gland, the tails. I can put all that into a standard quote template, and then every time we do a quote for a consumer unit, we just use that template, change a few little details and send it out, and it just makes it so much quicker than having to write a quote from scratch every single time. So that is a really useful bit of software in there as well. And obviously with the scheduler, as you start to build up jobs and it gets full, it helps your team to see the team's calendar, to see when there are gaps so they can book in jobs in the gaps, see how far ahead you're booked and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really useful. So I think I've pretty much covered everything, but if you are a Tradify user and you think I've missed something, leave it all down below in the comments. I know that a lot of my viewers have already got on board with Tradify and they're finding it really beneficial. And if you've not tried it out yet, why not give it a go? You get a 14-day free trial, then you get 50% off for your first 3 months using our discount code. So it's really worth giving it a go. It could save you a lot of time, evenings, weekends, doing paperwork. Why not invest time and a little bit of money getting systems in place for your business that are going to save you huge amounts of time and effort going forward? It really is worth that investment. And as you grow as well, like we are growing very rapidly at the moment, what we're finding is that having systems in place is so important, because what you can keep track of as a one-man band, you can't keep track of when you've got 5, 6, 7 people working for you. You need to have systems in place. And if you get them in early, if you get everything set up in place early, then it just makes it so much easier as you grow naturally to just scale up. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit a thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm to promote it out to other people. If you haven't subscribed already to the channel, think about doing so. We post videos about how we use software and stuff, but we post lots of videos about just the life of an electrician as well, and some of the jobs that we do. You might find them enjoyable, educational or entertaining. Either way, thanks for watching this video and have a great day.